Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking another episode of WandaVision. This is episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent. It's another Friday, it's another review of WandaVision, and we got another pretty good episode. I'll let you know that this episode, I wasn't into as much as I was the last one, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to love every episode and think that every episode is the best one ever. I think it's totally fine to have ups and downs, peaks and valleys. Most things do. Your life, my life. You know, I think the only people who don't have peaks and valleys are these mega rich billionaires. Who knows? Maybe their peaks and valleys are the stock market because they're the only ones who get to play it. But besides all that, let's talk about this episode. So there is a big reveal in this episode, and that is the reveal that Agnes is who we thought she was all along. She is Agatha Harkness. Now, that doesn't mean much to anybody who hasn't read 80s comic books or Marvel comic books, right? She's not really been a prominent character in comic books in the last 20 years, maybe even 25, 30 years before then. She was kind of in the 80s. She was in this Vision and Scarlet Witch miniseries in the 1980s, and she's like related, helped Scarlet Witch do a bunch of things in the comic books. So they're taking that character and I think making it a villain because she is also a witch in the comics. So in the comics, she's like a real witch, right? With real magic, stuff like that. Our Scarlet Witch, our Wanda, here in the MCU is a modified metahuman. It's the term DC uses. She's not really a mutant per se. In the comics, she is a mutant. But she's got magic powers, whether that's real magic or mutant magic, we've yet to really discuss. Maybe that's what next episode's going to be when they kind of lay out that Agnes is a real witch who had to study to get her magic powers, whereas Wanda is kind of imbued with it because she got touched with the Mind Stone way back at the end of Winter Soldier or something like that, in the beginning of Age of Ultron. So she is affected by the Infinity Stone, so her powers work a little differently than I guess Agnes's do. And I think that's why she's trying to find out how, Pietro in the last episode, who's not here in this one, was trying to find out how she brought her kids to life, right? So she's trying to find out how she did it. And if you remember, Agnes is always talking about her husband. We never see her husband. Is her husband dead? Does she want to bring her husband back to life? That may be something that she's trying to do, and that's why Pietro, through Agnes, we saw her pulling the strings in the little musical thing, which I loved, is trying to find out how Wanda brought these kids to life. So I think that's where we're going. I think the real standout for me for this show, especially this episode, was Monica Rambeau, who is played by Teyonah Parris. Let me give her a shout out here by name because she is the next best thing about this show. I mean, the best thing about this show is that we're getting to know our Marvel characters a whole lot more because they'd only been side characters in the other movies. Vision, Scarlet Witch have always been a side character in the Avengers movies. Never really been about them. Those movies are about Iron Man and Captain America and maybe a little bit of Thor and the relationship between those three, right? And then our side characters for those Avengers were Black Widow and Hawkeye. When you had Vision and Scarlet Witch enter the picture, they kind of got a little bit of a spotlight during Civil War, and they had maybe one or two scenes in Infinity War, obviously with them being on the run, meeting the Black Order in the beginning of that movie, and then the end where she has to kill Vision, and then see him get killed again when Thanos takes the Mind Stone out of his head. So there's a lot of things going on, in their life that we haven't seen very much of. So to get to know those two characters is the best thing about this show. That is for sure. But the next best thing about this show is that it's making me love Monica Rambeau because of Teyonah Parris. I think she's an enigmatic and electrifying actress. I'm drawn to her. She's got this warmth within her. She's got a fierceness with her. I'm really drawn to her as an actress, really attracted to her character. I really love watching her on screen. some series, when they're showing the side characters or whatever, you're like, okay, can we get back to Wanda and Vision, right? In this show, because there's a mystery tie behind it, and because Tiana Paris is such a great actress, and you also have Randall Park and, the girl playing Darcy, also there, who are also great actors as well, that other half of this show is also interesting. Now, I did complain about episode 4 where it was all them all the time, and I said that was my least favorite episode. I still stand behind that because it didn't really move the plot forward, even though you might have gotten more character bits with Randall Park, stuff like that, Agent Jimmy Woo, who he's playing. But I still think that it's much better when they're moving side by side with what is happening in the Hex, in Wanda's world. So I gotta give a shout out to Tiana Paris because I think she's fantastic. And the whole scene of her using her determination, she's gonna go through the Hex force field in the the lunar rover, the space rover thing, and it popping up on 2 wheels and getting stuck. And then her saying, forget it, I'm gonna go through it myself, and takes her helmet off and runs through there. And just the sheer force and determination she had when you see the different versions of her that are almost fraying apart. You had the 50s version, the 60s version, the 70s version, with the big afro and the different clothes. You saw all those things kind of splitting apart at that moment. And it was really cool to watch her center herself, literally, as these other selves that were we were seeing kind of went back, and we had Monica kind of recenter herself and then make it through that force field as herself. Now, I was right. I will say that I am right when I did say that I thought the force field was altering her DNA to become Spectrum or Photon, Captain Marvel, which she was called in the comics. She was called all 3 of those. I forget which one she currently is. But she has light powers. And when she looked up at the power lines, when she got through that Hex, what did she see? The electromagnetic spectrum. People, if you were wondering what those loops were around the power lines, that is the indication of the magnetic field that was there around those power lines. So she was seeing the electromagnetic spectrum, hence the name, Spectrum or Photon, whichever one they're going to codename her, who knows. But she's got light powers, right? I was right. Woo-ha! I was right for once. That's awesome. We don't know the full extent yet, although we did see she had some blue energy in her hands, just like maybe Wanda did, so maybe she was going to blast her with some light energy or something. Maybe that will be the next episode. Maybe they're going to use it against Agnes. Who knows? But let's refocus back to the big reveal in this show, which is Agatha Harkness is Agnes. I was wondering, in this episode, we saw her outfit. She took the boys away for babysitting and stuff. And what happened to the boys? We don't know yet. And I was like, where's her brooch? I realized we hadn't seen her brooch that she had in the first 2 or 3 episodes. We hadn't seen it in a while. Well, it makes its return here. And she had us all fooled because last episode I was thinking maybe she's not Agatha Harkness. Maybe she's a regular person. And that little song at the end, which was brilliant. I really liked that little touch there. But had it reveal that she was acting the whole time when Vision touched her head, and she was playing him like a fiddle, and she immediately, winks at the camera all the time. We saw that she's behind Pietro, so whatever Pietro was last episode was some sort of rendition or hologram, if you would, from Agatha Harkness, magic, apparition, whatever you want to call it. And she was controlling the strings and making him say the things he wanted to say, and that's probably why I don't remember seeing those 2 characters meet. If they did, maybe they were doing it anyway. And the last little bit of that song is I killed the dog too. Oh, I just wanted her to go like this and give her a good Dr. Evil laugh. I really, really enjoyed that. But that's where it ended. Boom! But I was sitting up. When Wanda went down the stairs into the basement and turned that corner, and then you see we went from the 16:9 format, which is what you're watching this video in, go into the black bars. It slowly went down. I was like, okay, so they're using that to signify when we're leaving the sitcom world and entering the MCU, the Marvel universe, right? Oh, and I'm not even realizing there was a I have the thing on in the background. I was rewatching the episode, and I stopped halfway through and muted it to watch the whole thing. And there's a post-credit scene after the credits on this episode. I had not realized that, and I need to go back and watch that. So yes, if you haven't watched the entire episode, after the credits, there's a post-credit scene with Monica Rambeau. I just saw it. because I'm facing the TV right now and now I want to go watch it. But I sat up when Wanda went down that, turned that corner, and then boom, we went from 16:9 to widescreen. We entered the MCU, the real world, if you would, and we had all these weird vines in the columns and stuff, and it looked like a witch's coven, like a witch's lair, whatever it was. We had this weird book that was like shining and getting our attention. So I'm wondering what that's going to be. I know there's many famous books in the Marvel Universe, like totems of magical importance. I don't know if they're going to call it like the Necronomicon, the Book of the Living, Book of the Dead. There's a whole bunch of things that they could call it. Who knows? But I think that's going to play some importance. So I'm kind of actually wondering if we're going to see this multiverse theory that we had, that I've been spouting, especially because I'm going off other reports of saying that, oh, this is linked. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe we're not going to break open the multiverse. Because we are basically going to have a showdown between Wanda Maximoff and Agatha Harkness at the end of this show, right? The next episode's going to be a lot of explanation, and we have 2 episodes left, believe it or not. Obviously, there was like a rumor floating around late last week that the next 3 episodes are an hour long. Obviously, I think that's BS. I think they're all going to be like 30 to 40 minutes, with credits. So who knows how long that's going to be. But obviously, we're going to get to the fact of what Agatha wants. And I think her whole purpose, like I was saying earlier, she wants to know how those twins came alive. Or she was trying to figure out how Wanda's magic works. And that's why she's been pulling the strings this entire time, trying to break Wanda. And we see Wanda breaking in this episode with all the different objects, going back and forth. And she's talking to the camera. We're doing like a Modern Family riff in this episode. I've never watched Modern Family, so I don't know how accurate it is. But it felt accurate for what I've seen, the little I've seen of Modern Family. But we saw Wanda, like, she's losing it. She's like, I don't know why this is happening. I have no idea. And pushed a little further, maybe she might snap. And maybe we will break open something. Who knows if it's the Marvel multiverse or whatever. But that was the theory based on Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff being in the same movie in Doctor Strange 2, and then Doctor Strange also being in Spider-Man 3, and then kind of linking those 2 movie things to WandaVision, which we could be right, we could be wrong. We will find out very, very shortly. That is really exciting. So, let me know what you guys thought of this episode. What is your favorite part of the series so far? Who is your favorite character? Mine is definitely Monica Rambeau, followed by Vision, followed by Wanda, if I had to rank them in that order. Let me know down below in the comments. I will be reading and replying. And thank you guys for watching. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Helps the channel grow. And we will see you guys next time here in the Funny Pages.